Good morning. I'm Margaret Woodruff, and I'm here at the Charlotte Library where I'm the director, and I'm going to spend a few minutes talking about some books that we have here in the collection in hopes that some of them might be interesting to you and you'd like to come check them out. This week, I'm going to try and do this on a weekly basis, so please tune in if you can, and if you've got a feedback you'd like to give, you can either send an email or you can join the live session every Friday at 10 a.m. So this week, I wanted to talk about birds. If you've seen our monthly newsletter, you'll know that the theme for the newsletter and sort of the activities that we're doing this month is birds. If you haven't signed up for the newsletter, skip over to our website when I'm done and make sure that you do. It's a great way to keep up with everything that's happening here at the library. Back to birds. So this month, our theme is birds. We have started a new activity this fall where we're offering a book art kit, and the book art kit for this month will help you build a bird ornament or make a bird ornament. I was hoping to have one with me today, but I don't. However, I have a picture of one I made, and believe me, if I can make it, anybody can make it. But it's a sweet little bird. If you can see that, I'll try and get it up close enough so that you can see my little bird. You just cut it out of the pages of a book. The bird, the wings, a couple little twigs for feet, and some nice twine so you can hang it in your window or on a tree, bulletin board, whatever fun place you might like to have a bird to keep you company this winter. So we'll have those kits here at the library for you to pick up. You could, if you want to give us a call or send an email, we're happy to stick one out for a porch pickup for you. In addition to the ornaments, we also have a nice packet that for families that want to get started doing some bird watching this month. The end of the month is the annual Cornell Ornithology bird count, and that's a fun thing to do on Christmas Day if you're looking for an outdoor activity, especially this year when we might not be able to do some of the other things we look forward to. So Cheryl, our youth services librarian, has put together a bird watching kit, and that includes a recipe for making a little bird feed hanger that you can stick in a tree, which might make it even easier for you to hone your bird watching skills. Bird watching is a huge activity in Vermont in particular, and we are fortunate to have a lot of bird related books here at the library. So I thought I would share some books about bird watching and bird identification. I have a couple of books about the people, principally John James Audubon, who sort of launched the whole idea of bird identification. Some books about birds themselves, and then just to throw in for fun, a few fiction books that have birds in the title. So let's get started. One of the most amazing books we have in the collection, and it's amazingly heavy also, is this one called Breeding Birds of Vermont. The Atlas for Breeding Birds of Vermont, and it is a beautiful book and just packed full of information about where you might find which birds. It has maps and wonderful photos and really great descriptions of all the kinds of birds that you're likely to find in Vermont, and you can focus in on particular areas. So you could look here in Charlotte, or if you've got family somewhere else and they're interested, you could look up the books for them as well. So that is one book. Looking sort of more broadly, we have a fun book about identifying animal tracks, and that is sometimes an interesting way to figure out which birds have been around your yard. I think a lot of us would know a turkey track if we saw it out in our mud or snow here in our yards. But there's a lot of other bird tracks that are fun to look for once you know what you're looking for, and this is a great way to get started. If you're interested in why birds do what they do when you see them out in a tree or, hopping along the ground, we have both volumes of Donald Stoke's Guide to Bird Behavior. This is a great, though fairly dense, look at why certain birds do what they do, why they go where they go in the winter, in the spring. So that is, if you really want to dig deep, that's a great one to have. And if you're sort of more interested in what is that bird that's out there on my bird feeder, we've got several guides to birds. I think a lot of people are familiar with the Peterson's Guide to Birds, and this is another very comprehensive one, the Sibley Guide to Birds. And for instance, if you want to know about the pileated woodpecker, I saw one of these in my yard the other day, and it was nice to go in and be able to read a little bit more about who that was. And you can also sort of work backwards. If you see a bird and you're interested in what kind of bird it might be, there's kind of a way to backtrack and get information that way as well. So that is another great resource. Another fun one that's particular to here in Vermont is this nice little booklet put together by the Department of Fish and Wildlife, Backyard Wildlife Habitat in Vermont. And it lets you know about the critters, including birds that you might see in your backyard, and also how you can make it a welcoming place for them to thrive. So that is a great booklet that we also have here at the library. We have some great books about birds, sort of more in general, why they do what they do, but less about their sort of particular habitats and more about their physiology or other research that people have done. I'm sure many of you are familiar with Bernd Heinrich. He lives over in Heinsberg, and he's a wonderful naturalist and writer, has written a whole series of books. He's written Summer World and Winter World. And this book is called Mind of the Raven, and it sort of really gives you the mind of the raven. It, explains a lot of their behavior, why ravens are so fascinating to us, and what it is that that makes them seem so different from a lot of other birds. So that's Bernd Heinrich, Mind of the Raven. If you're at all familiar with bird watching, you know that a lot of people keep lists, and they're constantly on the lookout for birds that they might add to that. This is a fun book. It is about a man who finds himself in the middle of one very big year of bird watching, and he doesn't even really know what he's doing when he gets started, but ends up having a lot of luck and finding that his bird list is quite extensive, and then that motivates him to continue and sort of expand his bird watching horizons and start traveling all over trying to find more birds. But it's a very fun and whimsical, if you're looking for sort of a lighter introduction to bird watching, this is a really nice book to take a look at. On a more somber note, we have Hope is the Thing with Feathers, another nonfiction book. And this is about a personal chronicle of banished birds. So, the passenger pigeon, the Carolina parakeet, and what happened to them and why. So that's a little more somber, but beautifully written and really sort of eye-opening for related to what might be happening in our world today as well. The last one of my nonfiction selections, which is not directly related to birds, but is such a terrific story, is The Feather Thief. If you haven't heard of this, it's a sort of true crime about a man who steals feathers from museums so that he can make flies for people who like fly fishing. So anyway, it is it's just wacky. It's hard to believe it really happened, but it's a really great story, and also a sort of sign of the ends that people will go to achieve what they want. So anyway, The Feather Thief is a really good story if you're looking for something engaging, and you know, to sit down on the couch and have a good read with. The last nonfiction is a series of essays written by Annie Proulx. You might know of her from, she wrote the Shipping News and some other fictional books. And this is a book of essays about, excuse me, is all about building her house out west, but it's all about how that is inspired by the birds that she sees when she first goes there. So that's Bird Cloud by Annie Proulx. So just to review the nonfiction books that we've talked about, we have some bird guides. We have the Second Atlas to Breeding Birds of Vermont. We have the Stoke's Guide to Bird Behavior. We have the Sibley Guide to Birds Identification. We have the really nice booklet from the Vermont Department of Fish and Wildlife, the Backyard Wildlife Habitat in Vermont. And then in a more essay style, more less sort of utilitarian, we have Bernd Heinrich's The Mind of the Raven. We have Lost Among the Birds by Neil Hayward about his One Big Bird Year. Hope is the Thing with Feathers about the vanished birds in America, and The Feather Thief by Kirk Wallace Johnson. So birds are a popular topic and also a popular title to include, word to include in titles, excuse me. So I just thought it might be fun to take a look at some of the books we have in our fiction collection that don't necessarily have anything to do with birds, but are include birds in the title. So we have Anne Lamott. You might be familiar with. She's written principally a nonfiction, a lot of things about faith and her personal journey. But this book is about a family and how they might be the imperfect birds in their community. And it's just a really lovely story about families and how they come together despite, you know, all the disappointments and drawbacks that each of them may have. I don't have the actual book I wanted to share with you in this series. This is the second book in the mystery series, the Shetland mystery series. You may have heard of the TV series, and that was based on these books by Anne Cleves. This is the second book, as I said, it's called White Nights. The first book is Raven Black, and you really do need to start with the first book. Someone has checked it out already, but I wanted to make sure I mentioned that, so I brought this along as a reminder. And if you're interested in mysteries, Raven Black is actually our selection for the mystery book group for this month, and we'd love to have you join us. So shoot us an email, info@charlottepubliclibrary.org, and we'd be happy to you know, sign you up and make sure you have a copy of the book so you could join us. And in fact, if you have any questions about any of these or anything else, email info@charlottepubliclibrary.org or phone 425-3864. Those are the best ways to reach us. And there's someone here every day, and we're happy to help you find what you're looking for, whether it's about birds or not. The second book I'm going to share is actually a series of short stories by Lori Moore and Birds of America, and just funny, wide-ranging stories, really hard to sort of quantify them or qualify them, but a really entertaining series of stories if you like things that are well-written and a little unusual. And then I thought it might be fun to share a few kids' books that we have here at the library. We have, in conjunction with the adult biography of John James Audubon, Under a Wild Sky, which I mean, he was really an extraordinary character who did a lot of wacky things, but certainly gave us a beautiful collection of illustrations of birds from his time, and kind of started that endeavor for people to take up of illustrating wildlife and birds. So we have the adult biography, Under a Wild Sky, which is by William Souter. And then we also have This Strange Wilderness, which is in our children's collection, which is also a biography of John James Audubon, and is wonderfully accessible. I mean, I would recommend it for anybody. It's such a great way to get introduced to his art and his life. And then if you're really inspired, you can move on to read Under a Wild Sky. But this one is a really nice way to begin, and has beautiful photos and copies of his illustrations of birds. So it's a real treat. We're just heading into winter, so this isn't quite the right time of year for us, but this is an example of the kinds of books that we have here to help kids get started looking for things and finding activities to do outdoors, and certainly bird watching is one of those. So if you're interested in anything particular, give us a call and we'll help you find them. And then the last one I want to share is this picture book by Patrick Mcdonald, and it's called South, and it has no words in it, but it's such a sweet story, and just about one little bird, and then there's all the birds, and they take off and go south because it's fall. And here's the little bird who gets left behind. He was sleeping, and he looks up and no one's there. And the rest of the story is about how a new friend helps him find his way south, which is where he needs to be going for the winter. So this is my first session. If you watch the recording and have any comments, please let me know what you think. If there's things I've missed or things you'd like to share, if there's books you'd like to know about here at the library, I'd love to know that as well. We're hoping this can sort of offset the fact that people can't come in and browse right now. And I'm happy to just walk up and down the stacks and show people books if that's something that would be of interest. So I really do hope to hear from you, and thanks so much for joining me this morning. Take care. Bye-bye.